with our election coverage, we're going to try to do an analysis of the debates and kind of keep our audience informed about the talking points that the current candidates, Haddix McKinney, and obviously, Stephen Joe, are presenting. And with me today, I have my special projects editor, Miss Taylor Calier. How are you, Taylor?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you very much for joining me. And what we're going to do is talk about the vice presidential debate that happened last night. And obviously, everybody knows that tonight. How do you propose that they do that? I mean, at some level, though, they still have to give voters something to look forward to.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you're right. They do have to be realistic. But if you're being too realistic, then you lose that glitz and glamour that your ticket has. So where's the balance? What's the middle ground in this?
I don't know. I think that it doesn't necessarily come back to the debate, but maybe more the platforms they chose.
Sure.
And so it's not like they can switch up their platforms in the middle of this campaign. I just think it's something that they need to be honest about with the voters and with themselves,
Mm-hmm.
and to understand that, like, hey, this is an idea I have. This is something that I think would be really great implemented.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know the timeline on this.
Right. But I mean,
So-
I know one talking point that really stuck out to me was that both tickets agreed on this Asian Cultural Center.
Yeah.
Does that strike you as odd?
Yeah,
We've
because
worked on stories
That's been a
about
controversial issue in PSG for a while, and
Right.
for them it was like a no-brainer. That's how it came off to
Yeah,
me, right?
absolutely.
Like, oh, what do you mean? Of course,
Right.
that we're gonna have an Asian Cultural Center, and that's great, but that project is not easy. It's been going on for a long time.
But are they? I mean, I'm reading the talking points here for both parties, and I'm noticing that they don't have any details on what the Asian Cultural Center will consist of. Will it be a building on its own? Will it be like the BCC? Will it be just a room and a building? What will it be?
I think that's something that they've talked about in the past, that it would start out just as an entity and
Mhm.
then go from there.
I see.
And I mean, that's how all the other cultural centers have started. But the point is the Senate hasn't officially agreed or passed anything as far as the Asian Cultural Center. They've passed proposals to put it to the administration, all this stuff. But
Sure.
at this point, I don't know how much PSG has control over this decision anymore.
Really?
From my knowledge, I don't think they do. And so for them to bring that up, I don't know if it'll work. But yeah, there was one point that I really liked. If I had to pick my favorite thing
Sure.
from the debate last night, I know this is one of Haddix McKinney's platforms,
Mhm.
but I really liked how Caroline integrated this last night when she was talking specifically about not outsourcing things that the student body could do on campus.
Yeah,
and she
absolutely.
used the bicycle task force
Uh-huh.
as an idea. I mean, the bike lanes that sprung up on campus last year, they could have been engineered by a student working on a senior design project or
Right.
whatever. And I think that out of any of the platform points that were brought up or any of the questions answered in the debate last night, that was the best one in my opinion. That was, I mean, I don't know who I'm voting for yet, but that
Sure.
was a point that I thought was this is somebody that I want to back this.
Right.
I want to back using students as part of Purdue's resources. And so I was impressed that, with that campaign point and then her applying that to the bicycle task force specifically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I think that was possibly the highlight for me as well. And you're absolutely right. When a Purdue student can solve a problem on campus, then everyone wins.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I think Caroline did a wonderful job with that. There was one other point that I thought, which was really interesting, was when Joe Lincoln said that one of Haddix McKinney's platforms, the online homework system, I believe,
Yeah.
was not feasible, not tangible.
Yeah.
And I think he was actually correct on that. I mean,
I think so too.
unless once again that becomes a student-run initiative when a computer science student or a computer
If
engineering
it
student.
goes outside of PSG.
Right. But I mean, what are your feelings on that?
Yeah, I think the same thing. I think that that's something that they need to, PSG talks about Purdue not outsourcing, and I think that PSG needs to follow suit and do the same.
Sure.
And make sure they're pulling from the student body. But yeah, I don't know. But just overall, last night, do you think that the candidates answered the questions in the debate?
That was one thing that I brought up to both Joe and Kyle early this morning. I asked them how in-depth into their talking points they were allowed into. And I think Kyle brought up a really interesting point, which was because there's only 2 tickets running, they should be allotted a little bit more time to speak about their particular points. I think 90 seconds is enough. I do agree with him on that point. But I will say that in that 90 seconds or a minute and a half, whatever they had, they could have spoken more in depth about plans to maybe integrate that or start these initiatives. I think that would have been helpful. I think there was a question from the audience that was brought up, and it was about feasibility. I think that's what every student wants to know about any initiative proposed by a ticket.
I just don't know if they really were answering questions or just regurgitating platform points.
Sure.
I think that any student could have looked up on their website what their platform points are, and I mean, to my knowledge, the purpose of these debates is not as a regurgitation platform.
Right.
So I mean.
No, I agree with you. I think the most disappointing part of last night was the fact that during rebuttals, there was never actually a proper rebuttal.
There was no rebuttal.
Except the very, very end. When Joe Lincoln actually contested one of Haddox McKinney's platforms.
Right.
But besides that, it was more of whatever I said before this talking point. I'm just going to say it again. And I think hopefully for tonight's debate, we can see a little bit more competition.
Right. That's what I'm hoping for too, because I just felt like I didn't even know. I mean, one question that sticks out to me in my mind that I hope is addressed tonight is the student activity fee and SFAB.
Sure.
And I was sitting in that room and I didn't hear an answer. Did you?
They spoke briefly about it.
They spoke briefly, but they didn't.
They
say. Yeah, they said the importance. They didn't say yes or no or their direct feelings about it. And I want to know about it.
No.
I want to know each campaign's stance on student activity.
Or even for them to address the question, should we have a student activity fee?
I mean, because I don't even know if I don't think that that's a question in their mind anymore, and I think it needs to be.